And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win? It's not as Halloweeny, but monsters are still cool. Let's talk monsters. It's technically Halloween, but you're going to get your, the speed round I'm going to just bump to tomorrow for Wednesday, because I'll have the day off and I'll be able to get it all done. And I got a lot for that particular speed round. I tried to make it not all Halloween, but as much Halloween as I could based on the people who were coming up on the list. But anyway, Aaron Mad Dog O'Reilly, and I gotta put the Irish accent on there. Aaron Mad Dog O'Reilly asked the question: who would win in the fight, Zilla from the Godzilla 1999 versus King Kong? Yeah, look, Zilla is the American interpretation of Godzilla, and it is known as Zilla from 1999's Godzilla and Matthew Broderick, so forth and so on. Not a well-loved movie. I still get a kick out of it. Really, my thought process has always been this. Similar to actually what I think about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, weirdly enough. If you don't think of it as a movie in that particular series of movies, like if you don't look at it as a Godzilla movie, instead just look at it as a fun monster movie with a Godzilla, or maybe like a Godzilla ripoff, well, then it's actually not a bad movie, I think. It's pretty fun. But as a Godzilla movie, ooh, it's not good. It's not a good Godzilla movie. And look, Zilla's design isn't bad, but it is very much a mutated iguana. It looks like a big lizard. Granted, a big dinosaur lizard, but a big lizard. I mean, they got the dorsal plates looking good. I'm trying to think of something else good to say. I got the dorsal plates looking fine. I'll say this. I like the slightly sleeker design, too. I will say that. It does look a bit more animalistic. I give it that. But yeah, there's still a lot of problems. And Zilla stands roughly around 80 to 90 meters tall, give or take. I believe it's 80, 90 meters tall. And he's was it 80 meters tall and like 90 meters long? Maybe that was it. Point being is that he's big. He can swim. He doesn't breathe underwater. Well, we don't know if he can breathe underwater. Zilla Jr., I believe, can. Because we know Godzilla can, in fact, breathe underwater. He has gills. But, especially the legendary version, they actually make a point of actually showing gills if you really look. But, I don't know. They never say if this one can. I don't think it can. It's just it can hold its breath for obscenely long amounts of time. It is very destructive. It's pretty fast for a creature of its size. It's not really capable of breathing fire, although it does seem to, at one point, look like it's breathing fire. What it's actually doing is it's breathing so much that breathing at such a high velocity that it's igniting accelerant on the ground and in the air. So that's why it does look like it's on fire. Unfortunately, it's not a durable monster at all. I mean, normal Godzilla can take missile fire like it's nothing. This Godzilla took multiple missiles to the body, and was still alive and survived it for a time, but then ultimately just died. So it's normal gunfire probably is something that would very much be a bit more troublesome for Zilla, or less troublesome. It does take like missile fire to bring it down, but yeah, Zilla, unfortunately, Zilla Jr. is actually a far stronger version of Zilla. So, yeah, King Kong. King Kong is a giant gorilla-like creature. He looks like a gorilla, but he's not. He's a kaiju of whatever sort. He's highly intelligent, capable of fighting off dinosaurs, monsters, and whatnot. And, yeah, and if you go with the legendary version, he also has an axe made from a Godzilla species dorsal plate. So, there you go. That said, however, if we're looking at the entirety of the series from Godzilla vs. Kong to the original King Kong to Godzilla King Kong Escapes. Give me 1 second here. I've actually got all of the King Kongs here right now. To Godzilla 2005. They don't have the Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong. We're missing missing I think the 70 something one. Is that what it was? The 1962 or was it that? Is that it? 1960. No, yeah, we're missing the one from the 70s or 80s. I can't remember which year it was. We're missing that one. Point being is that let's take the Legendary series out of the equation right now. The problem for this fight for Godzilla is that you don't want to know how what the biggest version of Kong is. Again, height-wise, I believe Zilla is stated to be roughly around 80 to 90 meters tall, give or take. So, okay, 80 to 90 meters. In feet, that's like a... Let me get the quick meters to feet conversion thing up here. Meters to feet. Okay, meters to feet. Like, so, okay. So Godzilla, or Zilla, is at its tallest incarnation, 294 feet tall. At 90 meters. You want to know the biggest version of Kong before we get to the Skull Island ones? Godzilla vs. Kong, 1962 at 45 meters. That Kong isn't even half as, at most, half as tall as Zilla. Just for sake, a measurement sake. Okay, I'm going to just make myself a little bigger. Let's say the top of this is Zilla. That's where Kong is. Boom! That's basically it. Just boom, boom, that's what happens there. And sad to say that even the Skull Island version of Kong is actually even worse off because it's only 31 meters tall. It's not even half as tall as Zilla is. Now, though, that being said, the full-grown version of Kong, because they said in the Kong Skull Island that he was still growing, and he was indeed, that he was able to get about as tall as the legendary version of Godzilla, which he's not actually as tall, he's almost as tall. But he's 102 meters tall at that point. That puts him now a good 20 meters above Zilla. So if the top of the screen is now Kong, Zilla, being the one who's now who's the short one, is now actually down there. Not to mention the fact that Kong, all the Kongs generally are a bit better in terms of like a just straight fighter than Zilla is, just because they have a humanoid design and therefore they have opposable thumbs. They actually can throw punches, actually throw hands a lot more effectively than say something like Zilla can. And you add massive bulk, and you add the fact too that while Kong lost the fight, he held his own at least for a time with a legendary Godzilla, which, by the way, because of the comic series with legendary Godzilla and Kong being thrown against the Justice League, completely throws their power scaling now and go to a completely different light. So, yeah, and while, again, he didn't beat that Zilla at all, he still threw hands and was able to really dish out a solid punch with him. Like, he could go toe-to-toe for a time. Add all that in together, Zilla would not even be an impressive. Zilla is not much different than, like, say, like the skull crawler he fought, the big one. And even then, not all that impressive. Like, the big one's really not that impressive. The big one was larger than the Kong and Skull Island, sure, but the Kong and Skull Island was, if I'm doing the math here, over under 3 times the size of the full-grown Kong we get later on in Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, he's literally 3 times larger for Godzilla vs. Kong, which means even though that the big one, was big and bigger than him to a degree, A, he still beat it, and B, he would actually towered over that thing later on. So, yeah. So it is one of those things where majority of the fights are going to Zilla. Unfortunately for us fans out there who aren't a fan of Zilla. But you get that one version of Kong who comes in who just bitch smack this version around. And I mean bitch smack this thing around. Like, he doesn't even have an atomic breath weapon. He doesn't even have an atomic breath, which means he can't even do the thing where Kong was in the fight with Zilla, was trying to basically snap his jaw open, and Zilla just went, roasted his fingers, like, yeah, you're not getting that shit off. Here, no, he can literally just pull the T-Rex move and just go, and then boom, Zilla dead. He can just Boom, boom, boom. Snap. There you go. Zilla dead. Zilla is not going to do well against the monster versus Kong. But that's just my opinion. Ultimately, though, unfortunately, even though he's not going to do well against the monster versus Kong, he does pretty much clap all the other versions. And again, this is really just from a size perspective. Zilla, again, not even that big, all things considered. 90 meters at most. 90 meters. The biggest version was Godzilla vs. Kong from the 60s at 45 meters. The smallest version from King Kong Escapes, from the Peter Jackson version, is only 7.6 meters. That's not even a tenth the size of Zilla. Well, what else we got? Like the next biggest one besides is the King Kong Escapes, from 1967 at 20 meters. Like there's again, it all just comes down to physicality. So and just pure size. So yeah, Zilla is going to pretty much eat Kong in most scenarios then. Assuming he'd want to, because this Godzilla mostly eats fish. I digress. So that's my thoughts. Who do you got in this fight? Do you think I'm completely off base, or do you think I'm right? Let me know, or somewhere in the middle. Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks next time.